My name is Diana Lopez, and this is Medusa's Awakening Podcast. Trigger warning. This episode might address sensitive subjects that may be distressing for some listeners. Topics discussed include violence, sexual violence, childhood abuse, mental health issues, and substance abuse. Please be mindful of your own well being while listening. If you find these topics triggering or difficult, seek support from a mental health professional or a trusted individual. We thank you for listening. Hello, everyone. It's January 9th, and we've already had a hell of a year. Welcome to this podcast. I'm dedicating this podcast to Human Trafficking Awareness Month. And I have one question that I'm going to probably be repeating over and over again in this podcast. And that is, where are all the children? Where are they? It is never reported the amount of children that are missing here in the US. Because if it was, I think there would be a strike, there would be absolutely an outcry. So I'm going to inform you today of what I found. It was reported that over 300,000 children go missing from the border. Where are they? Anybody? Anybody know? The US is absolutely in the business of trafficking children with the cartels. Tell me I'm wrong. After this podcast, listen to this podcast, and after you listen to this episode, I want you to tell me I'm wrong. Because it is important to note, like, what is wrong with us as a society that we just ignore this? Absolutely. The US is number one in the world for trafficking and for child pornography buyers. There are men here in the US that travel the globe just to have sex with minors. It's called child sex tourism. They actually have a name because it's so popular. In the US, we have about 400,000 children in foster care. California has the highest number of children in foster care. Do I need to remind you again that California is number one in trafficking for the US? In May of this year, the Office of the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention came out to say an estimated 375,000 children a year go missing in the US. I'm going to ask you again, where are all the children? In May of 2023, the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children put out an article titled Vanished in the System: The Crisis of Children Missing from Foster Care. It was reported in this article that the US Department of Health and Human Services Office of the Inspector General came out with a scathing report of the unreporting of children that have gone missing from foster care. This report showed that state agencies neglected to report the overwhelming majority of missing children. The US federal law requires that these agencies have to report a missing child within 24 hours to NCMEC, which is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. When an audit was conducted of missing child cases from July 1st, 2018 to December 31st, 2020, of the 74,353 missing child cases that were audited, they did like a random sample. So, of 100 cases out of the 74,353 cases audited, found that only 33 missing child cases were properly reported. 22 cases were not reported in the mandatory 24-hour period, and 45 cases were just never reported. So, based on those results, it is estimated that 51,115 children of the 74,353 missing children were never reported. So, where are the children? You got an enormous amount of children missing from the border. You have all these children missing from our CPS system, our foster care systems. You know, when they raided Diddy's house, they found baby oil, which a lot of you just thinks is super funny. But what you're not realizing is who is that baby oil for? Who do you think it's for? Who are the hot dogs, the pizzas? Who is all that for? Diddy had videos and videos of involving child rape, but all people wanna talk about are the videos that include celebrities on them. Why are nobody asking about the children in these videos? Where are those kids coming from? Are those the kids missing from foster care? Because there are plenty of reports of kids who have gone to foster care and come out of it saying, "I was trafficked through foster care, through those agencies." Where are the busloads of kids that was reported showing up to Diddy's LA mansion in the middle of the night? Hollywood with their weird ass placing kids on tables like party favors. Where are all the children? How do we have that many children out there just fending for themselves? How is that possible? What kind of society are we? The US is not right. We're just not right. So let's go. Let's step up. Let's start talking about this. Let's keep the conversation going. Spreading awareness leads to change. We have to talk about this. Talking is action. You know, when I yell at y'all to do something to help, I'm not saying go out there, risk your lives, do a bunch of training and, whatever, and like hunt down these traffickers. I'm not even saying that. What I'm saying is doing stuff like this helps. Do you know that there is a child trapped in this trafficking that is praying for someone to bring them to the light? What can you do to help? Is something that everybody should be asking themselves. What are you capable of? Well, let me tell you. Let me tell you, there's plenty of things people are capable of doing for these kids. If you believe in the power of prayer, pray for them every night that somebody finds them. Pray for them every night that they can stop the hurting, stop the pain. Love is the highest vibration on this planet. We have to continue to bring these children to light. That is an action. That is an absolute action anybody can take. Getting educated, right? Understanding who, what, when, where, how, like who's responsible for X, who's doing what, who can do this, do I write a letter? Write a letter to your congressperson, to the president. Imagine having a conversation with someone about this. You can say, "Oh, I checked out this Medusa's Awakening episode and I learned that." Yes, I know. Shameless plug. Um, if you have that conversation and then that person goes and has a conversation with, like, I don't know, 5 other more people, right? And tells them the same exact thing. You had just gave these kids a voice to 6 people, and how long did that take you? How much did it cost you? Absolutely write a letter to the government. You can demand to help fund additional funds for human trafficking nonprofits like the Medusa Project Inc., located here in the Bay Area. I'm just saying. Yes, I know, another shameless plug. Whatever. It's my podcast. I'll do what I want, okay? Um, you wanna post on social media about it? That's bringing those kids' voices to so many people. Just typing some words on their behalf. The amount of children that are unaccounted for and trapped. Who's talking on their behalf if it's not us? I'm gonna tell you this, human trafficking is not slowing down. It's not. It's one of the most lucrative, illegal, and inhumane businesses out there, and it is thriving. Why is it thriving? It's thriving because it's being swept under the rug. It is becoming more and more as things come to light, especially within these past few days, that we I should all be under the same understanding, but, feel free to tell me if I'm wrong, but the government doesn't tell us everything. They blind us to a lot of stuff. They dangle little shiny carrots out there with little stuff here and there, and that gets us all involved in talking and our attention focused on something completely different, but it's never about the kids. It's never about the kids. So sweep it under the rug. The media is absolutely horrible. The media is horrible. They just show us they just further pull the curtain in front of us, right? Dazzling other shit in front of us to keep us preoccupied, not paying attention. So, I mean, it's gotta be apparent now, right? Like, do you guys see it or no, or not yet? Might need a few more days, maybe a few more bombers out there, a few more terrorists, so to speak. As a side note, I know that this shit show that recently happened during the first few days of the new year has been building for some time. And this year is the year that the shit is gonna boil over. Please know that unfortunately we have to go through this in order to evolve. We are meant as a human race to evolve. And if we're not evolving and staying stuck, I have found it that things will happen in a big kind of showing, and then you are forced to. You're forced to either sink or swim, literally. That's the whole purpose. We have to evolve if we want to change this shit. I'm seriously rooting for everyone. I really am. Because seriously, we really need to get our shit together. Me included, FYI. I mean, I'm not by any stretch of the imagination anywhere near being the highest evolved on this planet. That is for sure. But unfortunately, we are part of the evolution process is having to go through things that can be very uncomfortable and difficult for a while, but the glow up is worth it. Okay. I just want to remind everybody. Okay. So back at it. We need people to listen. I'm going to say it again. The amount of children in CPS's care, in group homes, homeless. What are we doing? I would love to hear people's thoughts on this. I would love to hear what people have to say. And without pointing fingers to a particular candidate, to a particular side of politics, what are we doing? I think we need to demand stronger action, right? I mean, come on. How many of us have put money into the US giant bank account? I mean, I know I've been putting tons of money in there since I was about 15 and a half years old. All these resources need funding, and not just funding just to be like, okay, well, we fund your operation to do what you're doing now. No, we need funding to grow, not to stay in the same capacity because then we fill that capacity so quickly, by the way. And then what? And then everybody's filled up and there's no place for anybody to go. There's no resources for people to be in contact with or to ask for help because they'll be like, "We're all filled up," or "We don't have enough," or we need expansive money. We need money for better mental health care. Why am I bringing up mental health care? Because the men and women, which we all know it's the majority is men, have undealt with trauma and it's fucked them up in the head and it needs to be fixed. I mean, this isn't a new thing. This is generations of child abuse, right? Some people are out here so perplexed that we have warning labels on like Tide Pods and stuff. Don't eat them because they're poisonous, right? Like a lot of us are like, that's like common sense. I'm like, "Well, yeah, but, like, we really have to tell grown-ass adults not to sell children or have sex with them?" Yes, we do. That's the kind of world we live in. So don't be shocked when we have to put something on a Tide Pod saying, "Don't eat this because you'll die." Listen, the bottom line is it's not getting any better. I'm gonna say it again. The US is number 1 in the world for buying child pornography. Child trafficking and these satanic cults, there's an intersection, especially with satanic cults. They brutalize newborns, they brutalize children. Satanic cult rituals are alarmingly high in the US. That is the other thing nobody reports on, is the fact that this absolutely happens in the dark, and we just are so blind to it, like, so blind to it. That is why you'll constantly hear me saying, "We need to bring this shit to light." When this shit comes to light, people pay attention, people get upset, and then they start doing things. They're on the internet. They're letting other people know, "We know about this." Do you know how important that is? For a child that's stuck in this, that thinks that nobody even understands that this is even a thing, and, like, how are they gonna get help when people don't acknowledge that this is the thing that's happening? I know it's awful to talk about, I get it, like, you think I wanna be sitting here talking about this after I worked a long ass day? Yeah, because I have to, it has to be said. I am done turning a blind eye to things that are happening. These are some of the worst things that comes out of each one of our cultures, is sweeping shit under the rug. I don't know a culture that doesn't do it. I'd be happy to hear of one that doesn't have generations of families teaching their young ones how to just ignore and throw it under the rug and sweep it under the rug, right? I know, like, there's always talk too about, when people say that they're the ones and, they're gonna be the ones to stop all the generational trauma. That's, like, more and more coming, more and more, and it's fantastic because somebody has to do it in your family. If it's not gonna be you, it's gotta be somebody, and somebody has to be taught not to carry the weight of the family trauma anymore and to change shit. But this is how we do it. This is the steps, right? Um, these predators are not the only ones that need to change their mentals. We have to too. We have to be the change. Well, we are here on this planet. We need to not bury our heads in the sand anymore. Look at where that has gotten us. I mean, look around you. Everywhere. There are samples of it everywhere. Like, again, look at the first week of January. For those of you that go, "That surprised me. I never expected that." It's like, bruh, really? Because we have so much turmoil going on in the world that the more this continues to happen, right? The wars, the weather, the fires, the weathers, the anything that displaces people, that's where the traffickers thrive. They thrive in displaced humans, especially children, especially women. If we don't start preparing for it, look, these traffickers and these criminal organizations, they're all preparing for this. So what are we doing to prepare for this? Because these traffickers are gonna be rich, rich, and it's gonna make me big mad. And then you're all gonna have to listen to me on another episode and another episode saying, "Where are the children?" If we need to come up with a plan in order to help some of these nonprofits, if we need to just come up with a plan just plaguing social media, plaguing the internet, talking to friends, talking to city officials, talking at your community function, talking to your children's schools. That is what's needed. Another shameless plug for the Medusa project. This is what we wanna do, prevention. We want to prevent this, and we don't wanna hide it from people. We want this plastered all over the place. We want it in schools, like the Just Say No campaign, like, let's go. Like, let's plaster this stuff everywhere. It needs to be in your face so people can't go, "I never knew this existed." Especially our kids. And there's ways to teach kids about trafficking without getting into the whole sexual stuff, especially if they're too young to understand that, but it's raising awareness. There's ways to do this, and there's ways to do it in a way that we can actually get our kids to understand. It's just like telling your kids about their no-no squares, right? Don't let people touch you in your no-no squares. Why isn't trafficking being taught with this? Because trafficking absolutely happens in the home. Absolutely, it does. So I hope you all understand the severity of the situation. Hundreds of thousands of children missing from the border, hundreds of thousands of children missing from our foster care system. What are we going to do to make the government accountable for this? We have to hold the government accountable for a lot of shit, and a lot of the shit is going to come down the pike, and you're going to be like, "Holy, this is not the world I thought I was listening or living in. This is not the world I thought I was living in." And I'm sorry to have to burst that bubble for you, but if we don't get this out there and if we don't identify how to get these kids back and how to identify that these predators are over there at adoption agencies, adopting children, doing horrible things to them, and then selling them, our CPS system is overloaded. Our foster care system is absolutely overloaded and nobody watching. Now I'm gonna say this. I know there are plenty of people out there with beautiful hearts and love when they do this work. And I'm so sorry that you might be overlooked in a lot of times in a lot of these reports, on a lot of these shows, episodes, but you have to understand we're not talking about you. We are absolutely not talking about you. You are the safe person, and that is beautiful. It just sucks that not every single person that works for the foster care system or for CPS has those same agendas because they don't. It would absolutely be great if there was a way to pluck these people out. I wish I knew. But this is the point, right? We have to start somewhere because if we continue to keep just kind of blowing it off, it's just going to get worse. How much worse is it going to take? Like how much worse is it going to take for somebody to say, "All right, that's enough. We've had it." Is it a million kids? Are we going to wait till then? 500,000 kids? Are we going to wait for that? We should absolutely be yelling at the government, "Where are these children? Where are they? They should be held accountable." I appreciate you guys checking out this episode. It has meant a lot to me, considering, like I said, it is Human Trafficking Awareness Month. So, whatever you can do to spread the word, I would really appreciate it. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for listening to Medusa's Awakening podcast. Stay up to date on new episodes by following, liking, and subscribing to our pages. We are on Instagram at Medusas_awakening, on YouTube at Medusa's Awakening, and on TikTok at Awakening_Medusa_podcast.